Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm glad to have you here today. Now, there's been a lot of talk lately about Social Security and Medicare and what the future might hold for these programs. For millions of Americans, these programs are a financial lifeline, whether you're retired, disabled, or taking care of family. Recently, Donald Trump made a statement that's caught a lot of attention. He says he's not planning to touch Social Security or Medicare, except maybe to make them, as he put it, more efficient. But is that really the full story? Let's start with what Trump said directly. We're not touching Social Security, other than, we might make it more efficient. But the people are going to get what they get. Now, on the surface, that might sound pretty reassuring. It suggests no major cuts to Social Security benefits or big changes to Medicare. And for many people, that's a huge relief because these programs aren't just optional, they're essential. Millions of people rely on Social Security to pay for groceries, rent, and basic needs. It's the difference between surviving and struggling. But here's where things get a little tricky. While Trump has promised not to cut one penny from Social Security, some of his allies, and even people he's working closely with, seem to have a different perspective. For example, his Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE for short, has been making headlines. It's being led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who've been clear about wanting to look at ways to trim government spending. And guess what's on the table? Programs like Social Security and Medicare. Also, Republican lawmakers, like Representative Mark Alford, have already said they're looking at the front end of Social Security, which could mean raising the retirement age. The logic they use is that people are living longer, so maybe they can work longer too. But let's pause for a second. What does that mean for you or someone you know? Well, for many people, pushing the retirement age back isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a big deal. If you've spent your life working a physically demanding job, maybe construction, nursing, or manufacturing, the idea of working longer just to get your full benefits might feel impossible. It's not the same as sitting at a desk. And even if you're in a less physically demanding role, there's no guarantee that your health, job security, or the economy will cooperate. The other point they keep bringing up is fraud, waste, and abuse. Now, let's be fair, no one wants money being wasted, right? But here's the thing, Social Security fraud, specifically, is very low compared to the overall amount of benefits distributed. While exact figures are tricky to pin down, the Social Security Administration has reported that improper payments, which include fraud, overpayments, and administrative errors, amounted to about $1.1 billion in a recent year. It seems like a lot, but that's still a small fraction of the total benefits paid out. So while fraud exists, it's not the massive drain some politicians make it sound like. And when you hear phrases like efficiency or the people will get what they get, it's natural to wonder, what does that really mean? Efficiency sounds good on paper, but could it mean trimming benefits, reducing payouts, or making it harder to qualify? Those are the kinds of details we often don't hear up front, and they're what we should be paying close attention to. Now, let's talk about why this matters so much. Social Security isn't just another government program, it's something Americans pay into their entire working lives. It's essentially a promise. You work, you contribute, and when you retire or face disability, those benefits are there for you. Breaking that promise would hit everyday Americans the hardest, especially those without pensions or big savings to fall back on. And for a lot of people, Social Security isn't extra money, it is the money. According to recent data, about 1 in 5 Americans over 65 rely on Social Security for at least 90% of their income. 90%. And when it comes to Medicare, it's just as critical. Healthcare costs are rising every year, and for retirees, Medicare is often the only way to access affordable care. So when Trump says, we're not raising ages or any of that stuff, but his allies are already floating these ideas in the background, it raises some questions. How much control does Trump really have over this DOGE initiative? And if people like Musk and Ramaswamy are pushing for changes to these programs, how likely is it that those promises hold up? Let's also consider the bigger picture. The federal government's debt is a real issue. It's now approaching $36 trillion, which is a number so large it's almost hard to comprehend. But here's where we need to be careful. Balancing the budget doesn't have to come at the expense of Social Security or Medicare. After all, these programs weren't what caused the debt in the first place. In fact, Social Security is funded through payroll taxes that workers and employers pay every single paycheck. What does this mean for you? First, stay informed. Changes to Social Security and Medicare might not happen overnight, but conversations are already happening, and that's when the groundwork gets laid. If you're younger, it's still important to pay attention because these programs will matter to you later in life. And if you're approaching retirement or already retired, you deserve to know what's at stake and how potential changes might impact you. Now, there's one more thing I want to address because I hear this question a lot. Is Social Security going bankrupt? You might have seen headlines saying Social Security won't be able to pay full benefits by 2034 or 2035. And that's partially true if nothing changes. But it doesn't mean the program is going away. It means there's a shortfall that Congress will need to address. That's not an impossible problem to fix, and it doesn't require cutting benefits. There are other solutions, like adjusting payroll taxes or raising the earnings cap so higher income earners contribute more. The bottom line here is that Social Security and Medicare are too important to take lightly. For decades, they've been a safety net that millions of Americans rely on, and we all have a stake in protecting them. Promises are easy to make during a campaign, but holding politicians accountable is what really counts. So, what can you do? Start by staying engaged and asking questions. If you hear phrases like efficiency or reforms, dig deeper to understand what they really mean. Talk to your family, friends, and even your elected representatives. And remember, Social Security and Medicare exist because of decades of hard work and advocacy. They're programs built by and for the people. Thanks, and I hope this breakdown helped make things a little clearer. So what do you think about these statements on Social Security? Are you concerned about potential changes, or do you feel reassured by Trump's promises? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing your thoughts, and I think this is a conversation we should all keep having. Take care, and I'll see you next time.